The sand is wet. The water is still coming off her in sheets. She is not breathing. He tilts her head back, clears her airway, places his hands on her sternum and pushes down, hard, steady, the way you do it when you've done it before and you know exactly how much force it takes. Compress, breathe, compress, breathe. His girlfriend is on her knees beside him, one hand on his shoulder, watching the woman's face for any sign. There is none. The woman's skin is gray, her lips are turning blue. The ocean is 10 feet behind them, still moving, completely indifferent. He keeps going. And somewhere in the back of his mind, beneath the focus, beneath the rhythm of his hands, a single thought, quiet and certain. He knows her. His girlfriend's voice, close to his ear, barely above a whisper.
She tried to kill us.
He doesn't stop. It started on a Tuesday in late August. The kind of day where the sun hits the water at a low angle and everything looks almost too clean to be real. He was at the beach early, the way he always was, before the crowds, before the noise, just him, the ocean, and the kind of silence that only exists before the rest of the world wakes up. He saw her go under? Not dramatically, not like the movies. One moment she was there, treading water maybe 40 yards out. The next moment she wasn't. Just gone. A ripple where a person used to be. He didn't think, he just moved. The water was cold. Colder than it should have been for August. He found her within seconds, but those seconds felt like minutes. She was limp, dead weight in his arms as he pulled her toward shore. When he got her onto the sand, he checked her breathing. Nothing. He tilted her head back, cleared her airway, and started CPR. Compress. Breathe. Compress. Breathe. He didn't know how long it took. Could have been 30 seconds. Could have been 2 minutes. It felt like an hour. At some point, paramedics arrived. Someone must have called. Someone on the beach must have seen. They took over, and he stepped back, hands shaking, chest burning, and just stood there on the wet sand while they worked on her. She survived. She survived, and somehow, by the end of that day, he was on every local news feed in the area. By the next morning, it had spread nationally. The guy who saw a stranger drowning and didn't hesitate. The guy who performed CPR on a beach at dawn and saved a woman's life. For about 48 hours, he was the most liked person on the internet. His girlfriend didn't see it that way. They'd been together for about a year by then. She was the kind of person who needed to be the center of every room, not in a loud way, but in a way that made sure everyone was paying attention to her. And for the past 12 months, he had been, consistently, reliably. He showed up when she needed him. He adjusted his schedule around hers. He never pushed back when she changed plans at the last minute, never questioned the way she handled things, never made waves. He was good at that, making things smooth, making things easy. And then overnight, the entire country was paying attention to him instead of her. The first night after the rescue, she didn't say anything, she just got quieter than usual. He noticed, but didn't think much of it. He was still riding the wave of adrenaline, still processing what had happened, still getting texts and messages from people he hadn't spoken to in years. The next day, she brought it up.
You kissed her.
He stared at her. I performed CPR. She wasn't breathing. I was trying to save her life.
You kissed her mouth. On the beach. In front of everyone.
He tried to explain. He tried to be patient. He tried to tell her that CPR is not a kiss, that the woman had been clinically dead for seconds before he started, that he didn't even know her name. She nodded. She said she understood. She did not understand. Or maybe she did understand and she just didn't care. It started small, a comment here, a loaded silence there.
Must have been nice, getting all that attention. I wonder if she thinks about you. You never look at me the way the internet looks at you.
At first, he brushed it off. Relationships have rough patches. Everyone knows that. He doubled down on reassurance. He stopped posting anything online. He deleted the news articles from his phone. He tried to make the whole thing disappear because it was clearly hurting her and he loved her and he didn't want her to feel that way. But it didn't disappear. It grew. Over the next few weeks, the comments became a pattern. She would bring up the rescue in the middle of completely unrelated conversations. They'd be eating dinner and she'd say, "Did you ever find out if she was okay?" in a tone that wasn't actually asking about the woman's health. They'd be watching something on the couch and she'd go quiet and then say, "I just think it's strange that you don't talk about it." He started feeling guilty for something he couldn't name. He started apologizing for things that didn't need apologies. He started shrinking, not all at once, but gradually, the way a person shrinks when they don't understand why they're in trouble, but they keep being told they are. 2 months in, she started posting about it on social media. Not directly. She never named him or described the situation explicitly. But anyone who followed her closely enough could piece it together. Vague posts about feeling disrespected, about not being chosen, about what it feels like when someone you love makes you feel invisible. The comments on those posts were full of people telling her she deserved better. He saw them, he read everyone, and he said nothing because he didn't know what to say that wouldn't make it worse. 3 months after the rescue, he found out she'd been seeing someone else. He found out the way most people find out, not through a dramatic confrontation, not through a confession. Through a phone left face up on the kitchen counter, a message that came in while she was in the shower. A name he didn't recognize, a tone in the message that made it immediately, unmistakably clear. He sat on the couch for a long time after that, not moving, not crying, just sitting there, replaying the last 3 months in his head, trying to figure out at what point the guilt he'd been carrying had actually belonged to her. When she came out and saw him looking at her phone, she didn't deny it. She didn't even flinch. She looks at him, her expression cold and defensive.
You started this. You kissed another woman on a beach in front of the whole country. You think I was just supposed to sit here and be okay with that?
He looked at her. He wanted to say something. He wanted to explain one more time that it wasn't a kiss. That he saved someone's life. That he'd spent 3 months apologizing for doing something heroic because she needed him to feel small. But she wasn't finished. She crosses her arms, her voice rising with false conviction.
I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. You made me feel like I wasn't enough, and I finally realized I deserve better than someone who would rather save a stranger than pay attention to his own girlfriend.
She broke up with him, on her terms, with her version of the story already built and ready. And within hours, it was everywhere, the mutual friends, the shared social circles. The narrative she'd been carefully constructing for months finally had its ending. She was the woman who was hurt. He was the man who started it. She was the one who was brave enough to leave. He didn't fight it. He didn't correct anyone. He just let it happen. The weeks after the breakup were quiet in the way that only empty apartments are quiet. He went to work. He came home. He cooked simple meals and ate them alone. He didn't call anyone. He didn't post anything. He didn't reach out to mutual friends to set the record straight because he understood, somewhere beneath the hurt, that no one wanted to hear his side. They'd already decided. He started swimming again, not casually, seriously. Every morning before work, he drove to the same stretch of beach where he'd found her. The water was getting colder as the weeks passed, moving into fall, but he didn't care. Swimming had always been his way of clearing his head, and right now his head needed clearing more than it ever had. He didn't think about her when he swam. He didn't think about the ex-girlfriend either. He just moved through the water, counted his strokes, and let the cold take everything else with it. He started running again too, lifted weights 3 times a week, ate better, slept earlier. Not because he was trying to get back at anyone. He just needed something to hold on to, and discipline was the only thing that felt solid. It was a Saturday in late October when it happened. He was further out than usual. The waves had been building all morning, not dangerously, but enough to make the swim harder, which was part of why he'd pushed out. He liked the resistance, liked the way it demanded his full attention and left no room for anything else. He didn't see the wave coming. Not the kind that builds gradually, the kind that arrives sideways. A surge that hit him from the left and spun him like he weighed nothing. He went under immediately, tried to orient himself, tried to find which way was up, but the current had him and it wasn't letting go. He fought it. Of course he fought it, but the ocean doesn't negotiate. The last thing he remembered was the surface getting further away. He woke up on sand. Warm sand this time, late afternoon sun hitting his face. And a voice, calm, steady, familiar in a way he couldn't place at first.
Hey, can you hear me? You're okay. You're on the beach. An ambulance is on the way.
He opened his eyes. A woman's face leaning over him, dark hair pulled back, a slight scar on her left temple that he wouldn't have noticed if he hadn't been looking directly at her from 6 inches away. It took him a few seconds. And then it hit him all at once. She was the woman from the beach, the woman he'd pulled out of the water in August, the woman whose life he'd saved at dawn on a Tuesday when the sun was hitting the water at a low angle. She smiled, a small, tired smile.
We're even now.
He spent 2 days in the hospital, mild concussion, some bruised ribs, significant dehydration, nothing permanent, nothing that wouldn't heal. She visited him on the second day. Not as a stranger making a polite gesture. She came in with coffee, the right kind, which he somehow knew, and sat in the chair by the window and talked to him for 2 hours. She told him she'd recognized him immediately when she found him on the beach. She'd been volunteering with the local beach safety crew since September, something she'd started after her own near drowning, she said, though she didn't elaborate on why. She'd seen him swimming that morning. She'd been watching the water when the wave hit. She'd gone in after him without thinking, the same way he had for her months before. He told her he remembered her face. He told her he was glad she was alive. They talked about other things after that, simple things. Where they lived, what they did for work, what the weather was going to do in November. The kind of conversation that doesn't sound important while it's happening, but somehow fills the room completely. Before she left, she wrote her number on a napkin. Not dramatically, she just did it, set it on the table next to his water cup.
In case you want to talk again.
He called her 3 days after he got home. They got dinner. A small place near the water, nothing expensive, nothing that required a reservation. They talked for 3 hours. He didn't tell her about the ex-girlfriend, not yet, she didn't ask. They went out again the following week, and the week after that. Each time, it felt less like dating and more like something that had already been decided somewhere beneath the surface, the way two people can meet and both somehow already know. He didn't rush anything. He didn't perform. He didn't try to impress her or win her over. He just showed up and she just showed up, and the space between them got smaller without either of them doing anything deliberate about it. By the end of November, they were together. Not officially, there was no conversation about labels, no formal declaration. They just were. Everyone who saw them together understood it immediately. He didn't post about it. Not at first. He didn't feel the need to announce anything to anyone. This was his, theirs, and for a while, that was enough. She found out in January. He posted a single photo on a Thursday evening. Nothing dramatic, just the two of them at the beach, where they'd both nearly drowned, sitting on a piece of driftwood, her head resting against his shoulder. He tagged the location. He didn't write a caption, he didn't need to. A mutual friend commented within the hour, someone who knew both him and the ex-girlfriend, someone who recognized the woman in the photo. By Friday morning, the ex-girlfriend had seen it, and she recognized her immediately. "I knew it." Those were the first words she said, according to the friend who told him about it later. Not surprised, not confused, certain, Absolutely certain, the way someone sounds when they've been waiting for confirmation of something they already believed.
I knew it. I knew from the very beginning. He planned the whole thing.
The friend tried to explain, tried to point out that the rescue happened in August and the relationship started in October. Tried to explain the timeline, that months had passed, that the ex-girlfriend herself had ended things, that there was no overlap, no conspiracy, no hidden connection. The ex-girlfriend wasn't interested in the timeline.
He saved her life on purpose. He wanted her from the start. Everything he did, the CPR, the social media, all of it, it was about her. I was never the point.
It started within days. She texted mutual friends, long messages, pages of them, explaining what had really happened, explaining how she'd been the real victim all along, explaining that the rescue had been the beginning of something calculated, something she'd been too trusting to see. Some friends listened. A few believed her, at least at first. The story she told was emotionally compelling. A woman who'd been humiliated, who'd been made to feel small, who'd finally found the courage to leave, only to discover that the man she'd left had been planning his exit the entire time. It was a good story. The problem was that it wasn't true. He didn't respond to any of it. He didn't call the friends who reached out asking for his side. He didn't post anything. He didn't defend himself publicly or privately. He just let it run. But she didn't stop at texts. Within a week, she reached out to his new girlfriend directly. A message. Long, detailed, and carefully worded to sound concerned rather than hostile. I just think you should know what kind of person he is. I think you deserve the truth. I went through something really painful with him, and I don't want that to happen to you. His girlfriend read the entire message. Then she forwarded it to him without comment, with a single line underneath.
What do you want to do?
He read it. He thought about it for a long time. And then he said, "Nothing, not yet." The ex-girlfriend escalated. She started showing up at places he frequented, not confronting him directly, never that, just appearing. At the gym, near his apartment complex, at the coffee shop he went to on weekend mornings. Always with her phone out, always filming. She told mutual friends she was documenting his behavior. She told them she was building a case. She told them she felt unsafe. Some of them believed her. Others started to notice the pattern. The way her story kept changing, the way the details shifted depending on who she was talking to, the way the timeline never quite added up no matter how she explained it. His girlfriend remained calm throughout all of it. She didn't engage with the messages. She didn't confront the ex-girlfriend. She didn't post anything online. When friends asked her about it, she said simply, "I know who he is. I don't need to prove anything." His girlfriend's family reached out to his family. Not because of the ex-girlfriend's campaign, because they'd met, because the two families had been introduced naturally, over dinner, the way families meet when two people are serious about each other. His mother had called her mother afterward and said she liked her. Her father had shaken his hand and said nothing needed to be said. But when the ex-girlfriend learned that the families had connected, she called his mother directly. She told her everything, her version of everything. The rescue, the affair, the breakup, the new relationship. All of it delivered in a voice that was trembling just enough to sound sincere. His mother listened. She thanked the ex-girlfriend for calling. She hung up the phone. Then she called her son.
Tell me what actually happened. All of it. From the beginning.
He told her. He told her the real version. The rescue, the guilt trips, the CPR that became ammunition, the cheating, the breakup, the months of silence, the ocean, the second rescue, the relationship that grew from something neither of them planned. His mother was quiet for a long time after he finished.
I'll handle it.
She did. She called the ex-girlfriend back the next day, politely, calmly, and told her very clearly that she had spoken with her son and with his girlfriend, and that the version of events she had described did not match the facts. She told her that the family would not be engaging further. She told her that if she continued to contact any member of the family, they would have no choice but to treat it as harassment. The ex-girlfriend went silent after that call for about a week. Then she filed a police report. She went to the local station and reported that her ex-boyfriend was stalking her, that he was following her, that she felt threatened, that she had been documenting his behavior for weeks and needed protection. The officer who took the report asked for the documentation. She handed over her phone. The officer scrolled through it. What was on the phone was not evidence of stalking. What was on the phone was dozens of videos she had taken of him walking into a coffee shop, of him leaving his apartment, of him at the gym, all filmed from a distance, all without any interaction between them, all taken by someone who had been following him. The officer looked at the footage, then he looked at her. Then he asked her to wait. 20 minutes later, another officer came out and explained very carefully that what she had described and what the evidence showed were not the same thing. That based on the footage she had provided, it appeared that she was the one engaging in repeated, uninvited contact. That filing a false report carried its own consequences. She left the station without saying anything. His girlfriend told him about the police visit 2 days later. Not in a panic, just matter-of-factly, over dinner, the way she told him most things.
I think we need to file something. Not because I'm scared, because this needs to stop, and right now there's nothing stopping it.
He agreed. They filed for a restraining order the following week. The documentation was straightforward. The texts she had sent to his girlfriend, the messages to mutual friends with contradictory timelines, the footage on her own phone that showed her following him, the police report and its outcome, his mother's account of the phone call, the social media posts. All of it, laid out in chronological order, told a single, clear story. The restraining order was granted within days. The ex-girlfriend's employer found out about the restraining order through public records. She worked in human resources. The irony was not lost on anyone. Her company conducted an internal review, not just about the restraining order, about the pattern of behavior that had preceded it. The social media posts, the public harassment campaign, the documented contacts with his family, his girlfriend, and the police. All of it was visible. All of it was on the public record or on platforms her employer could access. The review took 2 weeks. She was placed on administrative leave at the start of it. By the end of it, she was terminated. The official reason cited in her exit documentation was conduct unbecoming of someone in a position of trust and professional judgment. She did not contest it. After she lost her job, something in her broke. Not visibly, not immediately, but the restraining order, the termination, the silence from friends, the way the story she'd been telling for months had been dismantled so thoroughly and so publicly, all of it compressed into something dense and hot inside her chest, and it had nowhere to go. She was still checking his social media. She couldn't stop. Every morning she woke up, and the first thing she did was open his profile and look for proof that she was right. Proof that the rescue had been calculated. Proof that the new girlfriend had been the plan all along. Proof that she, the ex-girlfriend, had been the only one who saw the truth. She never found it, but she kept looking. It was a Saturday in late February when he posted the engagement announcement. The photo, the driftwood, the ring, no caption. She saw it within minutes. She stared at the screen for a long time, not crying, not angry, something beyond both of those things. Something that had been building for months and had finally found its shape. Then a notification came through. A mutual friend, someone who still followed both of them, had tagged the couple in a comment, a simple, public comment with a location tag. The beach, their beach. That afternoon, she knew the beach. She'd been there dozens of times. She knew the marina on the east end, the one with the small rental boats that you could take out for an hour or two with nothing but an ID and a credit card. She knew the water was calm on that side in late February. She knew the tide was going out. She didn't think about it the way someone thinks about a plan. It wasn't a plan. It was a feeling, enormous and blinding and absolutely certain that if she could just get to them, if she could just be there, something would finally make sense. Something would finally prove what she'd been saying all along. She drove to the marina. She rented a boat, a small motorboat, nothing large. The marina operator asked if she needed help launching. She said no. He watched her pull out of the slip and didn't think anything of it. They were swimming. Not far out, maybe 30 yards from shore. Close enough to see each other clearly. Close enough to talk if they wanted to. They weren't talking. They were just swimming side by side, the way they did on Saturday mornings, letting the cold water do what cold water does, clear everything out, leave only what matters. He saw the boat first. It was coming in too fast. Not dramatically fast, just fast enough that it didn't belong. The angle was wrong too. It wasn't following any natural path across the water. It was pointed directly at them. He grabbed her arm. Swim, now, down. They went under at the same time. The boat passed over them, the sound of the motor muffled and then loud and then muffled again as they stayed beneath the surface. He kept his grip on her arm. They kicked hard, angling away from the boat's path, staying deep enough to be invisible from above. When they surfaced, they were 20 yards from where they'd been. The boat had kept going, past them, toward the shallows, toward the rocks on the north side of the cove where the water gets shallow fast and the current pulls against you. It happened quickly after that. The boat hit the rocks at an angle, not a direct collision, more of a grinding, sideways impact that sheared the hull and killed the motor simultaneously. The ex-girlfriend was thrown forward. She hit the water hard, face first, and the current caught her immediately. She couldn't swim. Or she could, but not like this, not disoriented, not in shock, not with the cold and the rocks and the current all working against her at once. Within seconds, she was struggling. Within 10 seconds, she was going under. He didn't hesitate. He was swimming toward her before he'd made the conscious decision to do it. She was maybe 15 yards away. The current was pulling her toward a cluster of rocks, and if she went under there, the water would trap her against them. He reached her just before that happened, grabbed her under the arms, pulled her back, away from the rocks, fighting the current the entire way. His girlfriend was already there. She'd been swimming behind him, closer to shore, watching, and together they dragged her out of the water and onto the sand. The ex-girlfriend was unconscious, not breathing. He tilted her head back, cleared her airway, and started CPR. Compress, breathe, compress, breathe. The same way he'd done it on a Tuesday in August, the same motions, the same focus, the same refusal to let someone die in front of him, regardless of who they were or what they had done. She came back after about 40 seconds. A gasp, a cough, water coming out of her mouth and nose. Her eyes opened, confused, disoriented, not understanding where she was or what had just happened. She looked up, and the first face she saw was his. The police arrived within minutes. Someone on the beach had seen the boat crash. Someone had called it in. They took her statement at the hospital after she'd been treated for hypothermia and a minor concussion. She told them everything, not a constructed version this time, not the story she'd been telling for months, the real version. She told them she had rented the boat. She told them she had seen the social media post and the location tag. She told them she had driven to the marina and gone out on the water and pointed the boat at the 2 people she had been harassing for months. She told them she didn't know exactly what she had been planning to do when she got to them. She told them she didn't know anymore. The charges were filed the following week: attempted assault with a deadly weapon, violation of a restraining order, reckless endangerment. The documentation from the previous months, the texts, the social media posts, the police report she had filed herself, the restraining order, the termination, all of it was entered into evidence. All of it painted a picture so clear and so complete that her public defender advised her not to contest it. She didn't contest it. she was sentenced in April. 18 months, a medium security facility 2 hours from where she'd lived. She could have gotten more. The judge noted, during sentencing, that the 2 people she had endangered had chosen not to press for the maximum. He didn't attend the sentencing. Neither did she, his girlfriend. They didn't need to be there. The outcome was already decided by the time they would have walked in. His girlfriend visited her once, about 3 weeks after she was incarcerated. He didn't know about it until afterward. She told him over dinner, the same way she told him most things, calmly, without drama, as a fact.
I went to see her today.
He looked at her. Why? She thought about it for a moment.
Because someone should tell her the truth, not the version she's been telling herself, the actual truth.
He asked what she said. His girlfriend paused.
I told her that he saved her life twice, that I saved her life once, and that she tried to kill us for it. And I told her that the reason we saved her both times is because that's who he is, and that's something she will never be able to take away from him, no matter how long she spends trying.
She didn't say how the ex-girlfriend responded. He didn't ask. The mutual friends who had been caught in the middle noticed the silence first. A few of them reached out to check on her. Most of them didn't hear back. One friend, someone who had known both of them for years, told him later what he'd heard secondhand. That she had spent weeks before the boat, alone in her apartment, replaying everything in her head. That the engagement post had been the moment something inside her finally snapped, not into rage, but into a kind of desperate, final certainty that if she could just get close enough to them, the world would rearrange itself into the shape she needed it to be. It didn't. He listened to all of this without expression. Then he said, "I hope she finds her way back," and meant it. He proposed to her in February. Not on the beach, not at a restaurant, not somewhere public or staged or designed to be witnessed. They were at home. A Sunday morning, she was reading in the kitchen with coffee, and he was sitting across from her, and he just said it. No speech, no setup, no performance. "I want to marry you." She looked up from her book, smiled.
Tang.
That was it. They posted about it 3 days later. A simple photo. The same driftwood on the same beach, a ring on her finger, visible but not the focus. No caption, no story behind it, nothing that required explanation. The post got hundreds of likes within hours. Comments from people who knew him, people who knew her, people who knew neither of them, but somehow felt connected to the quiet simplicity of it. Somewhere, on a phone that had gone dark weeks ago, a notification appeared. It was never opened. The tide always comes back. Not because someone called it in. Not because someone planned for it. Not because justice arrived on schedule or in the shape anyone expected. It came back because that's what tides do. He didn't win. He didn't outsmart anyone. He didn't expose her or destroy her or make her pay. He just kept swimming. He just kept showing up. He just kept being the person he was before any of this started, the person who sees someone drowning and doesn't hesitate. Not once, not twice, 3 times if you count the woman who became his wife. She destroyed herself, not because she was stupid, not because she didn't see it coming, because she couldn't stop, because the story she told herself, that he had planned it, that he had chosen the other woman from the start, that she had been the real victim all along, was the only story that made sense to her. And she held on to it even as everything around her collapsed, even as she lost her job, even as she lost her friends, even when the restraining order was granted and the world made it clear, in legal language, that her behavior was not justified. She held on to it until she was sitting in a rented boat on a Saturday afternoon, pointing it at the 2 people she had spent months trying to destroy. And when the water took her under, the same way it had taken him under, the same way it had taken the woman he saved months before, he went in after her. Without thinking, without hesitation, without any reason to, except that it was who he was. The ocean took them all under at different times, but only one of them learned anything from it. And that's the story. If this hit close to home, if you've been the person who held on when everything around you was falling apart, or if you've watched someone you care about do the right thing and still get punished for it for a while, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me what you thought. If you've been through something similar, I'd genuinely like to know, not to judge, just to listen. And if you have a story you think I should turn into one of these, something that happened to you or someone you know, or even something you witnessed from the outside, share it. That's how these start. Also, tell me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is there. I love knowing that these stories travel. Thank you for staying until the end. It means more than you think.